take stock of round one, what are you most pleased with that you guys did on the floor, and kind of what do you feel hungry to do better in the next round?
I think we did a good job of just coming out. I think especially after a long break, we came out and we were aggressive. We were aggressors, I think, most of the series. And so I think we won in different ways. The third game, coming back from that, I think we were all confident that we can come back from that. But I think we did a good job of just keeping that 0-0 mentality and going from there.
You guys have talked about not just the importance of winning games, but winning the days in between games, including like long layoffs like that list. What does that look like for you guys as a group so far?
Just staying locked in. I think that's the biggest thing. Again, Mark does a great job of making sure we're still locked in, but giving us a little break at the same time. So it's been good. I think it's kind of similar to how it was the first mini camp we had when we had a little bit longer. So we're kind of used to it. So yeah.
Do you get anxious at all as you watch these playoff games every night, or do you like this break?
To me, I just go day by day. I think the main thing, especially with the playoffs, you have to just control what you can control. And the thing we can control right now is what we do in practice, and we just got to wait. And so I think being anxious about stuff you can't control doesn't really make sense. So,
What's your perspective watching this Clippers-Nuggets series, given that you know some guys on both of those teams?
It's a high-level series. I think, you have two great teams that are playing at a high level. And so I think you see it on a night-to-night basis. The adjustments they're both doing on a night-to-night basis, I think that's something we have to be kind of a little bit more prepared for compared to the first series where it was more just kind of an up and down game and there weren't probably a lot of adjustments. And so, I think just being ready for that is going to be big for us.
What are your thoughts on how Chet has fit back into things since he's come back from his injury and now at the point where he's hitting threes and able to carry things at times?
Yeah, he's been great. I think he's been great all season. We have a lot of confidence in him on both sides of the court. I think he's getting more comfortable. Again, playing a new role, also playing more of the four sometimes. But then just also coming in, being aggressive when he needs to. And defensively, we know what he can bring on a night-to-night basis. And so he's been big for us.
Not just your series, but the playoffs as a whole. Are they more physical this year? You in the East last year as opposed to the West this year, or is it the same? Any difference at all?
I think each series is different. I think the intensity goes up regardless of where you're at. For us, last year in the first series, it was really physical. Playing against Philly, and then the Pacers is a little less physical in that aspect. So I think every series is different. I think you kind of just have to approach it in that way.
You wrapped up your first playoff series with Shea. Did you say anything different in these 4 games with Memphis that you didn't see in the regular season?
No. See the MVP every night, so it's same thing.
The type of physicality that's allowed in the playoffs, just to piggyback off that question, is obviously more than we see in the regular season. Can that go too far at times, or is that just something you kind of embrace?
I think you got to embrace it to an extent. At the end of the day, that's more the ref's jobs to kind of figure out where the line is. And we just kind of match the physicality, or we try to come in and set the tone actually in the physicality department. So I think at the end of the day, it's the refs control that aspect of how physical the game's allowed to be, and then we just got to adjust to that.
Mark called you a badass in terms of your cultural fit with the team this year.
Love that.
What does it mean to just have that type of respect from your coach?
It means a lot. I think just, I have a lot of respect for him. Played now for a couple coaches, and just how he approaches each day, how his in-game adjustments are. I think it's top notch. And I have a lot of respect for him and how he goes about his day-to-day stuff, and also how he just approaches the game.
Your rim protection in that series was excellent. Is it all instinct at this point, or are you really focused on technique and coverages and the mental side, or is it natural?
Part of it's natural, but I think especially in the playoffs, that's where we get more into detail. You kind of know what each player is going to do. You know when to rotate, and then now with me and Chet, I think we've got it more figured out when one person goes, the other person has to rotate. I think at the beginning it was a little harder because we both went to the rim and gave up some threes every now and then. But I think now we figured out when to go, when not to go, and so.
Mark, what'd you think of Dub's series as a whole? Just the impact and efficiency that he had on both ends of the floor.
Great, definitely great growth through the season that showed up in that series. Got his creation in. He was efficient. I thought he passed the ball really well as a creator, and then he continues to defend, premier players as a switch guy. He was on Jackson. He was on Bain. Switches on Morant. Impactful in the help. So obviously a great player, but was consistently great in that series.
And then Isaiah Joe, he seems to kind of have this thing once a game at least where he's spaced on the wing, spaced in the corner, shot goes up from somebody else, and he's the first guy to the ball at the elbow or the nail or whatever. Tell me about his instincts on that, and maybe if there's any coaching on that too.
Minimal coaching. He's got a good nose for the ball on both ends. He's a good rebounder for his size. He's often guarded by weaker defenders, and those guys tend to be weaker blockout players too. So there's a little bit of education on that, but generally he has a good nose for the ball. He's always had a great floor game, despite the shooting. He plays the game the right way on both ends, which, as I've said before, makes it easier to play him through low volume, or if he's not making shots in a period of time, you can keep him out there because of all the other things he does.
He's come a long way defensively, too. When he got here, he was kind of known as a shooter and maybe a standstill shooter. And now he can do stuff on the move as well.
Yeah, he's really evolved his game. I think, there's certain guys that they play impactful roles, and so you don't necessarily see them as developmental players, but they are. They're getting better all the time. Dub's an example. Isaiah Joe's an example. He's really developed his floor game. He's gotten better this season inside of actions in terms of his turnover rate, in terms of his threat as a passer, and defensively he's really competitive. Pound for pound, really, really good defender. He takes on the challenge. Like, he wants to switch on to good players and guard them. He doesn't hide from matchups. You can put him on bigger guys because he's physical despite being slighter. So I have a ton of respect for his entire game.
Mark, when the NBA made the shift mid-season to call things more physical, obviously those of us on the outside sort of like seeing that, but in the playoffs, can it go too far to where it's almost an altogether different game? And I'm not saying like your series specifically, but just kind of in general.
Yeah, if you look at league trends, they're not really. I think they're actually calling more fouls right now than they did in the regular season. They're calling more off-ball fouls. They're calling less shooting fouls, calling less illegal screens. So we're tracking it closely. I think the games are more physical. There's probably more actual fouling going on, and the whistle hasn't reflected that per se, but it's not like they're calling less than they did in the regular season. They're right about on par with what they called, but the games just tend to be more amped up. So, we really don't care, to be honest with you. We just want it to be fair and consistent. So we want to know what we're getting night to night, and we want to know what we're getting end to end. And if we're getting a consistent whistle night to night and they're allowing a lot of physicality, we'll adjust. And if they're allowing a lot of physicality for our opponents, we want them to allow a lot of physicality for us. But as long as there's consistency and clarity, we really don't care what it is. We'll adapt to it.
I don't think I can remember a defensive 3 seconds being called in the entire series against Memphis. In terms of focusing on your controllables on offense, given how much you want to drive, what are things you all can do if that's not being adjudicated?
Yeah, there's just certain rules that are like dormant rules. There's there's carries that they don't call. There's double dribbles that they don't call. There's defensive 3 seconds. There's offensive 3 seconds. They tend to be more flopping. They called like 10 flops all season. So there's some rules that seem ceremonial at this point. But again, as long as they're consistent with it, we don't really care. It's like just make sure that it's consistent night to night, consistent end to end, and we'll adapt to whatever it is.
You get more into possible opponents today in terms of working on them, or still working on yourself?
Still working on ourselves. We don't want to make any assumptions. We don't want to put a lot of time into one team, and then next thing you know, the other team wins. So there's enough we can work on, and there's enough fundamentals that are going to matter no matter what, that we can work on them. We're going to be at no disadvantage from a preparation standpoint relative to our opponent. They're still playing in a series right now, whoever they are. And we've gotten used to these, quick preparation turnarounds. It's actually probably a good thing for us and the team that it forces us to prioritize and doesn't let us get in the weeds on a bunch of different things. The last part is after game one, your game plan presents itself at that point, and there's things that you couldn't have predicted that become priorities, and then the series starts to unfold. So we've found a comfort with the way that we've prepared, and part of that is like not getting too deep too early, and just focusing on the things that we know are going to matter for us.
Along those lines, the guys have talked about just winning the days in between games, and to your point, the quick turnarounds, being able to be comfortable in those. What's allowed you guys to be so comfortable there and win those days?
I think the personality of the team goes a long way, and then the consistency of the environment. I think we have guys that generally understand competition and understand that every day is a new day, every game's a new game. And then we try to have an environment around them that reinforces that with the consistency of our staff and the consistency of our building. We combine those two things and we do the best we can. But that's the name of the game. In a playoff series, they're emotional games. Every game has an outcome that is high stakes, but you got to get yourself back to zero for the next time you play.
You saw what happened at the Pacers-Bucks games last night. You ever had a fan or anybody come off the floor to interact with one of your players or anything, or even the other team, anything like that, since you've been head coach?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Not since I've been the head coach. My first 2 years, we didn't have fans, so that negated the issue.
Did you stay up late to watch Denver last night, or
No.
got clip notes in the morning?
No, I went to bed at 8:45. I'll watch the game. But the 9 o'clock starts are not built for me. Kids are down at 7. I'm down at 8:45, 9. And that was one of those nights last night.
You're going to have some late nights, though, also. Coach.
I want to be coaching if I'm going to have late nights. I don't want late nights that I'm not coaching.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.